Picture this. Two gardens. Same street. Same neighborhood. Same rainfall. Same soil type. One yard is absolutely covered in blooms. Massive flower heads in deep purple, rich pink, brilliant white. Bees working every stem. Butterflies hovering. The whole thing looks like it belongs on the cover of a gardening magazine. The kind of yard that makes people slow their cars down. The other yard? Leggy green shrubs. Maybe 3 sad flowers if you squint. Brown-edged leaves. The kind of plant that makes you wonder whether it's even alive. Same plant. Same season. Completely different results. And here is what most gardeners never figure out. The difference is not luck. It is not the weather. It is not even the variety. It comes down to 7 specific planting mistakes. Mistakes so common that I see them in nearly every struggling garden I have ever visited. And most gardeners are making at least 3 of them right now without knowing it. Today, I am going to walk you through all 7. I am going to tell you exactly what each mistake looks like, exactly why it destroys your blooms, and exactly what to do instead. And I promise you, by the time this video is done, you will look at your garden completely differently. Stay with me all the way to the end, because mistake number 1 is the one that kills plants before they even have a chance to establish. And if you have ever planted something that just seemed to slowly give up and die for no obvious reason, this is almost certainly why. Hit subscribe right now, because the gardeners who do not are the same ones who will be back in the comments next fall wondering why their plants made it through summer but never recovered for the following season. And by then it will already be too late to fix it. Let's get into it. Mistake number 7. Choosing the wrong location. We are starting at number 7 with the mistake that happens before you ever put a single plant in the ground. And it is the one that locks you into failure from day one, no matter how well you do everything else after it. Most gardeners pick a planting spot based on how it looks from the back porch. That corner looks nice. That bed has room. And then they plant and water and feed, and the plant still struggles. And they blame the plant, or the soil, or the weather. But the real answer was the location. Here is the truth most gardening videos skip over. Flowering plants are not all-or-nothing sun lovers. The ones that produce the most spectacular blooms. Hydrangeas, astilbes, foxgloves, impatiens. They are what I call morning sun plants. They want that gentle, energizing morning light. And then they want protection from the brutal, scorching afternoon rays that stress them, scorch their leaves, and shut down flower production. Too much direct afternoon sun? You get wilted leaves, browning edges, and a plant spending all its energy trying to survive rather than bloom. Too much shade? You get lush green growth and almost no flowers. The sweet spot is 4 to 6 hours of morning sun, followed by dappled shade or full shade from noon onward. Also, and this one matters more than people realize, watch out for planting too close to large established trees. Tree roots are aggressive. They reach far beyond the canopy. When you plant in their zone, your flowering plants are competing for water, nutrients, and oxygen, and they will lose that competition every time. Choose spots where your plants do not have to fight for resources before they can even get established. The fix. Before you buy a single plant, spend 1 full day observing your yard. Track where sun hits at 8 a.m., at noon, and at 3 p.m. Find the spots with morning light and afternoon shade. Those are your prime planting zones. Everything else is a compromise. Coming up at number 5, the watering mistake that actually trains your plants to be weaker. Most gardeners think they're being thorough. They're not. Stick around. Mistake number 6. Digging the wrong planting hole. Number 6 sounds so basic that most experienced gardeners think they can skip past it. Don't, because this mistake quietly ruins plants over months and years, and it almost never gets diagnosed correctly. Here is what happens in most gardens. Someone buys a beautiful plant in full bloom from the nursery. They dig a hole roughly the size of the root ball, maybe a little deeper because they want it to sit solidly. They drop the plant in, backfill, water it. Done. 6 months later, the plant is declining. The leaves look off. Growth is slow. Blooms are sparse. And they have no idea why. The crown rot problem. When you plant with the crown, the point where the stems meet the roots, sitting below soil level, moisture collects there. It never fully dries. And that creates the perfect environment for fungal disease and rot that slowly attacks the base of the plant. You do not see it happening above ground until significant damage has already been done underground. The second part of this mistake is the hole that is too narrow. Roots want to grow outward, not downward. Flowering plants establish fastest when their root system can spread wide through loose, amended soil. A narrow hole forces roots to circle, and circling roots can eventually strangle the plant. A problem that takes years to manifest but is nearly impossible to reverse once it does. The fix: dig your hole twice as wide as the root ball, but no deeper than the root ball is tall. The crown sits exactly at soil level, not above it, not below it, level. And before you backfill, gently loosen any circling roots by hand or score them lightly with a knife to encourage outward growth. This one step, done correctly at planting, changes the entire long-term trajectory of how a plant performs. Mistake number 5. Surface watering. The mistake that trains weak roots. Number 5. And I want you to really sit with this one, because it is the most counterintuitive mistake on this entire list. Most gardeners who care about their plants water regularly. They go out there with the hose or turn on the sprinkler. The soil surface gets dark and wet. It looks watered, feels watered, and they feel like they've done their job. But here is what is actually happening underground. Flowering plants have root systems that reach 12 to 24 inches deep when they are healthy. Surface watering moistens the top 1 or 2 inches of soil and evaporates within hours. The roots in the real growing zone, the ones that would anchor the plant through summer heat, stay completely dry. And here is the devastating part. When you consistently only moisten the surface, the plant adapts. It grows its roots upward, toward where the moisture is. You are literally training your plant to grow shallow roots. And then summer arrives with its heat, its dry spells, its real stress, and those shallow roots cannot sustain the plant. You end up with wilting, leaf drop, bud drop, and a plant that struggles through every summer no matter how much you water it. This is what I call foundation watering versus surface watering. Foundation watering means slow, deep, thorough soaking that reaches the full root zone. Set your hose on a slow trickle and let it run in one spot for 30 to 45 minutes. Use a soaker hose. Use drip irrigation. Whatever method gets water deep rather than wide and shallow. Aim for 2 to 3 deep waterings per week rather than daily light sprinkles. And here is a simple test. After watering, push a long screwdriver into the soil. If it slides in easily to 12 inches, you have watered deep enough. If it hits resistance at 3 or 4 inches, the real root zone is still dry. Bonus move that doubles your watering effectiveness. Apply 2 to 3 inches of organic mulch around every plant. Shredded bark, leaf mold, aged compost. Mulch dramatically slows evaporation, keeps the root zone cool in summer, and can cut your watering frequency by up to 50%. Keep it pulled back 2 inches from the crown of the plant to prevent rot, but everywhere else lay it thick and generous. Number 3 is the one that breaks gardeners' hearts, because they do it with the best intentions, thinking they are helping. And it costs them an entire season of blooms. Stay with me. Mistake number 4. Planting in unprepared soil. Number 4. And this is the mistake that has the highest long-term cost of anything on this list, because soil is the foundation everything else is built on. Get it wrong and no amount of watering, feeding, or care will fully compensate. Flowering plants need what I describe as kitchen sponge soil. Soil that is moist but not wet. that holds nutrients but also drains properly, that has enough airspace for roots to breathe and expand. Heavy clay soil holds water like a bowl. Roots drown, oxygen disappears, and root rot moves in. Sandy soil drains so fast that moisture is gone before roots can use it, and nutrients leach away with every watering. Most gardeners plant directly into whatever soil their yard has. They do not test it, do not amend it, and then spend years wondering why their plants never quite look right. The soil amendment that changes everything. Before planting, work 2 to 3 inches of quality compost into the top 12 to 18 inches of your planting area. Compost fixes both extremes. It breaks up clay and improves drainage, and it adds structure to sandy soil to help it retain moisture. It also introduces beneficial microorganisms that support root health. Nothing you can buy in a bottle does what good compost does for your soil. And then there is pH. Most gardeners know that soil pH affects flower color in certain varieties. Acidic soil produces blue blooms, alkaline soil produces pink ones. But the less-known effect of pH is nutrient availability. If your soil pH is too far off, your plant literally cannot access the nutrients in the soil regardless of how much fertilizer you add. It is like a locked safe full of food that your plant cannot open. Get an inexpensive soil test kit at any garden center. Test before you plant. Aim for a pH between 6.0 and 7.0 for most flowering perennials. Adjust with sulfur to lower pH or lime to raise it. This is a one-time investment of about 20 minutes that pays dividends for the entire life of the plant, which, done correctly, can be decades. Mistake number 3. Over-fertilizing with the wrong formula. Number 3. This is the heartbreaker, because this mistake happens when gardeners are trying to do the right thing. They want their plants to thrive, so they feed them. And the plant responds beautifully. Massive green growth, lush leaves, vigorous stems. It looks healthy. It looks like the fertilizer is working. And then they wait for flowers. And wait. And wonder. Here is the plant science that explains it. Nitrogen tells a plant to grow leaves and stems. Phosphorus tells a plant to grow flowers and roots. When you use a high nitrogen fertilizer, which includes most general lawn fertilizers and many all-purpose plant foods, you are sending your plant one very clear message. Grow leaves. And it will. Beautifully. At the direct expense of the flower production you actually want. I see this constantly. Gardeners using lawn fertilizer on their flowering plants because they figure fertilizer is fertilizer. The plant gets spectacular and green and almost completely flowerless. The formula that actually works for flowering plants is balanced nutrition, equal parts nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Look for October 10th, 10 or 14-14-14 label on your fertilizer bag. These provide everything the plant needs without pushing it so hard toward vegetative growth that flowering suffers. Timing matters as much as formula. Fertilize twice per year. Once in early spring as new growth begins, and once in midsummer to support continued blooming. And stop fertilizing at least 6 to 8 weeks before your first expected frost date. Late-season nitrogen pushes out tender new growth just as the plant needs to be hardening off for winter. That new growth gets killed by frost, leaving the plant weaker going into the following year. Use slow-release granular fertilizers over liquid when possible. Slow-release feeds steadily for 3 to 4 months instead of delivering a burst followed by nothing. Your plants prefer steady nutrition over feast and famine. Number 1 is the most devastating mistake on this entire list. Because you do not realize you have made it until an entire season has already passed. It is coming up right after number 2. Do not leave. Mistake number 2. Ignoring winter protection. Number 2. And this is the mistake that most gardeners in zones 5 and colder are making without ever connecting it to the results they see the following spring. Here is what happens. You grow a beautiful plant through the season. It blooms magnificently. Fall arrives, the plant goes dormant, and you think, it is a perennial, it will handle winter on its own. You leave it completely unprotected. And then spring comes. The plant puts out some growth, but the blooms are sparse, or missing entirely, and you figure it had a bad year. The real explanation: many of the most spectacular flowering plants set their flower buds in late summer or early fall for the following year. Those buds sit on the stems through winter, exposed to freeze-thaw cycles, desiccating winds, and deep cold. In a harsh winter, those buds die. The plant survives, but the buds are gone, and you have a full season of green growth and almost no flowers, with no idea that the damage happened 5 months earlier while you were not paying attention. The fix is straightforward. In late fall, after the plant goes dormant, apply 4 to 6 inches of organic mulch around the base. This insulates the root zone from the hardest freezes and reduces the damaging freeze-thaw cycling that heaves roots out of the ground. For plants in exposed locations or in the colder end of their hardiness range, a simple burlap wrap around the stems dramatically reduces wind desiccation and cold damage to the buds. Continue watering until the ground freezes. Plants lose moisture through their stems even in cold weather, and dry dormant plants are far more vulnerable to winter damage than well-hydrated ones. And critically, do not fertilize after midsummer. Nitrogen in fall pushes new tender growth that has no time to harden before frost. That growth dies, the plant expends resources regrowing it in spring, and the whole season starts weakened. Stop feeding in summer. Let the plant finish its season properly. Mistake number 1. Pruning at the wrong time. The full season mistake. Number 1. And I want to take a moment here, because this is the mistake that costs gardeners not days, not weeks, but entire seasons. Full growing seasons with no flowers. And it happens to people who are doing everything else right. People who care about their gardens. People who are trying to be good gardeners. And it comes down to one moment, one decision, one cut made at the wrong time. Here is the science you need. Not all flowering plants bloom the same way. Some varieties, and this includes many of the most beloved flowering plants in home gardens, set their flower buds in late summer and fall on the growth they produced that year. Those buds sit through winter on what gardeners call old wood, stems from the previous growing season. When spring comes, those buds break open and give you flowers. If you prune those plants in fall, in winter, or in early spring, as so many gardeners do, thinking they are tidying up for the season, you are cutting off every single flower bud. Every one. The plant will grow back beautifully, full, lush, green, healthy looking, and it will not produce a single flower that year, because you removed the blooms before they ever had a chance to open. I lost an entire season from a mature plant this way. Over 100 blooms. Gone. Because I cleaned it up in early spring before I understood the difference between old wood and new wood bloomers. It took 2 full seasons to fully recover. The 2 categories you must know. Old wood bloomers. Flower buds form in late summer/fall on last year's stems. Prune only immediately after flowering, within 6 weeks. Never prune in fall, winter, or early spring. Remove only dead, crossing, or damaged branches. Never remove more than 1/3 of the plant. New wood bloomers. Flower buds form on current season's growth. These can be pruned in late winter or early spring before growth begins. They actually benefit from annual pruning for stronger bloom production. If you are not certain which type you have, here is the safest rule. Prune immediately after flowering and never at any other time. This works for both categories, and you will never accidentally remove a bud. For old wood bloomers especially, resist the urge to tidy up in fall. Those scraggly stems you want to cut back are carrying next season's entire flower show. Leave them. Protect them through winter. And next summer you will understand exactly why. That is why this is number one. It is not the most technical mistake. It is not the most complicated to fix. But it is the mistake with the highest cost. A full season of flowers you worked all year for, gone in one uninformed 5-minute pruning session. Now you know, and you will never make it again. Number 7, wrong location. Morning sun, afternoon shade. Never under competing tree roots. Number 6, wrong planting hole. Twice as wide as the root ball, never deeper. Crown at soil level. Number 5, surface watering. Deep, slow, infrequent soaks. Mulch heavily. Train deep roots. Number 4, unprepared soil. Amend with compost. Test and correct pH before planting. Number 3, wrong fertilizer. Balanced October 10th 10 formula, twice per year. Stop by midsummer. Number 2, no winter protection. Mulch roots, wrap exposed stems, stop fertilizing after midsummer. Number 1, wrong pruning time. Know your plant type. Prune old wood bloomers only after flowering. Bonus tips. What separates good gardens from great ones? Bonus 1, harden off before planting. Plants from nurseries are grown in controlled, protected conditions. Putting them directly into your outdoor beds creates transplant shock that sets them back by weeks. Instead, place new plants outside in dappled shade for a few hours each day, gradually increasing their time outdoors over 5 to 7 days. By planting day, they are fully adjusted to real-world conditions, settle in faster, and establish stronger root systems with less stress. Bonus 2, time your planting like a pro. The best planting windows are early spring before summer heat arrives, and early fall while soil is still warm but air temperatures are cooling down. Both windows give roots time to establish before stress arrives. Planting in peak summer heat forces a young plant to battle drought and temperature stress before its roots can support it. The timing of planting is one of the most high-leverage decisions you make, and most people never think about it at all. Bonus 3, watch for root competition. Not just from trees, also from neighboring shrubs, ornamental grasses, and ground covers. Below the surface, root competition is a hidden constant drain on your plants. When plants have to compete for water and nutrients, every one of them performs below its potential. Give your flowering plants their own space. Create raised beds or properly amended planting zones where roots can expand freely. What you do not see underground shapes everything you see above it. Bonus 4, deadhead with purpose. Removing spent blooms is not about aesthetics alone. When you deadhead correctly, cutting the stem just above a healthy leaf node, you redirect the plant's energy away from seed production and toward producing more flower buds. The key word is correctly. Cut too aggressively on old wood bloomers and you remove next season's buds. Learn where each cut should land on each plant you grow, and deadheading becomes one of the most rewarding 10-minute tasks in your garden week. Bonus 5. The compaction problem nobody talks about. Foot traffic on garden beds compacts soil over time. Compacted soil reduces oxygen, blocks water infiltration, and prevents root expansion. If you notice water running off your beds instead of soaking in, or if growth seems slow despite good care, compaction is often the culprit. Add organic matter every season. Create permanent pathways to protect your planting zones. And never work wet soil compacts with every step and every tool stroke. The health of your soil is not a one-time fix. It is an ongoing practice. There you have it. 7 planting mistakes that are costing gardeners their blooms every single season, and every single fix that turns those results around completely. If even one of these mistakes made you look at your garden differently, if one of these fixes is going to change what you do this season, do me a quick favor right now. Hit that like button. It takes 1 second and it genuinely helps other gardeners who are struggling find this information and get the results they deserve. And drop a comment below. I want to know, which of these 7 mistakes have you been making? Which one surprised you most? I read every comment, and your answers help me know exactly what content to make next. If you are not subscribed yet, right now is the moment. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell because we publish practical, accurate, gardening content every single week. No filler, no fluff, just the information that actually makes your garden better. See you in the next one.